What's up, YouTubers? It's your boy C again, coming to you once again live in outer space in FEMA Region 4 of the 2/3 restricted zone, still during this corona pandemic bullshit. Hope you enjoyed the Atari 2600 video. That was a great success, but as you can see now, it's time to upgrade. And we are looking at the big boy, the lovely Atari 5200. This was, as Atari called or coined it, you should say, their super system, because this was what it would introduce arcade quality to your home. It does have a very stupid switch box, as somewhere around here. Maybe at some point I'll show you what it looks like. But at the end of it, the only thing you'll need to do with that switch box is probably put that piece of shit on eBay and sell it if it still works. Or if you want to just hold on to it just for the hell of it, then you go right ahead and you do so. But what we're going to do is the same mod for the 5200 that we did for the 2600, which is going to allow you to be able to use it on a more modern day television. And I think with this guy, we're going to be a little bit more, pleasantly surprised at how well it performs in comparison to the 2600 in regards to HD. At least I'm pretty confident we will. So we'll look at this guy, what it's going to take to do. As obviously the comparison, this is one big boy with the wonderful little case for the controller. This happens to be a 4-port. So without waiting any further, we'll jump in. The only things you really need is you do need, as always, your trusty screwdrivers, your flatheads, and your Phillips. You do need your soldering iron. Helping hand, of course, always helps. I always keep my little speaker, which I'm using to prop up the phone, if you're going to use a monitor, but you can just plug right into the TV. A pair of dikes to strip your wires. Of course, solder to solder down. And either some shrink wrapping for your cable or some electrical tape. So let's go ahead, let's get started, and let's get back to gaming. Okay, so here we got big boy, Atari 5200. This is it. This is what made legends back in its time. This is the home console for Atari that delivered arcade quality graphics, the first one to do so. Highly criticized a lot of time, obviously for its size. As you can see, this thing, just compared to my hand, this thing's huge. It did have a couple of really neat features, I guess you want to consider them. It had storage for the controllers. It's a little dusty there, need to clean it. Also, it was the first one here that had a wraparound for the cord. What made this system a little interesting was that Atari attempted to bypass the RF switch by making that RF cord that you saw on the back bypass through a connector that connects to the TV, so it's powered actually to what wouldn't technically be the RF switch. I'll display one in the video later on for those who've never seen it and knows what it looks like. Now this particular one is the 4-port, as you can see. They originally came with 4-port, and then for 4 players, and then Atari decided to make a 2-port version, which was a little bit less of a pain in the ass for, at least as far as the project that we're going to do, since the 2-port did not have the bypass feature. Just stuck to the original RF switch box TV to game switch. So we'll take a look at that, and let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this guy over. Excuse my kids coloring here. I'm going to turn this stuff over. As you can see, there's a screw here, screw there, screw there, screw there. Nope, is there? Nope, that's just a hole. So the screw's there. There's a spider for some reason there. And he was actually alive too. Well, like I said, he was. May God rest his soul. Another screw there, screw here. So in this part of the process, what we will do is once we get the case open, the RF cable here goes out through the case, and in this particular case we're going to remove it altogether because this is a actual two-part upgrade. First, the power upgrade so that the brick doesn't require this thing here plugged into the TV switch box. It would just plug right into the back like normally it would on any other system. And then we're going to do the component upgrade. So let's get to it. Alright, so we got the beast open. This is not a bad mod. It's actually pretty simple. But boy, what a difference is if you look at the circuitry that's underneath the shield. Look how clean that shield kept the parts compared to out here. You can see this is, like I said, guys, this is 38-year-old dust here. So the capacitor that's going to be leaving is this guy here. This guy here, which is the C45, if I'm not mistaken. Also right here, this is the, of course, you know, this is the RF. This guy's going out of here for what we're going to do anyway. And I believe there's one more that has to go. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but I'll go ahead and touch up on it after we do the desoldering and the resoldering of the parts. Go ahead and specify which is the one that's got to go. But not a very hard mod, not this one in particular. That's your kit right there. So let's get to it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the big capacitor here, the C45 that was removed, has to be removed. The one I didn't mention was the L8. I didn't realize what it was until it was removed. That one's got to go. This is where the RF cable sat. If you're really anal, I guess then you would solder suck, remove all this stuff out. Me, I could care less. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to look at it. What you do have to, and I got to clean this one up a little, but you do have to clear these guys out because the capacitor is going to sit in there, and also your leads are going to sit there for the power. And then you have to find a spot, preferably back here, where you're going to be able to connect the jack for the RF output. And that's about it. Next thing is going to be to wire up the actual lead itself. Okay, these are the parts of the power kit. And this is going to be the actual parts that you really need. That's it. This is where it connects. Obviously, this is going to be the negative. It's going to be a positive. This is what holds it in place. This is the capacitor that replaces Big Boy over there. If you look at these guys, it's got a little stripe. The stripe goes to the negative, which if I was looking at the board dead on, it would be facing this way. Okay, and then this guy hooks into the positive. There is a capacitor, this guy, oh, excuse me, this guy, which will have to go in between both of these. This one is a pain in the ass, I'm going to tell you right now. But I spare pretty much all the drama of doing it. So we're going to just jump right into it, and let's get to it. Okay, if you don't have yourself a helping hand, you really got to get one for one of these. The little black resistor actually goes to the positive lead over here. I like to lay my solder a little heavy, so sue me. You don't like it, tough shit. This is my way. It works for me. Again, this is about showing you a different way of doing it, or doing it whichever way you get it to work right. And then here you go to the actual connector where it goes in. Now the capacitor has to actually go, I don't know how well you can see here, how well it can focus, has to go on both sides into the positive and negative. The negative goes into the outer lead, positive goes into the center lead. This is the part that's a pain in the ass. Reason being, if you're that gifted, which some of you I'm sure are, you can actually be able to solder both of these at the same exact time, as well as on the negative side. Most of us are not. We're kind of limited to you know, how much stuff we can hold in our hand at one time. That's why we need a helping hand to begin with. And this is, of course, please make sure you take off this little guy here, or else you're going to find yourself possibly taking it apart if you go ahead and you shrink wrap this. We'll go ahead and we'll shrink wrap this part, or if I have any of them all out, then I'll just say, fuck it. I'm using plain old electrical tape. Wrap that bitch up, heat it up, good to go. And this part here is going to go into the board. A lot of guys do trim it down a little bit. Usually it's about cut it right about there and hook it into the board. But this is pretty much, once you're at this point, you're almost there. It's just a matter of soldering in the capacitor and being able to fire it up. Okay, so now we finally finished the power mod. As you can see, here's a little tape. This is heat shrink tape. Went ahead and just, for those of you who are old school, you know, just take a cigarette lighter to this bad boy to tighten it up a little bit. You have to mint your hole first, and you have to feed it first and tighten. Usually, there's a little square here on this side. Just go into the left of the square and drill your hole very carefully until it fits. Put your wire in. The resistor is in here under this tape. There's the capacitor. And right in front of the capacitor, one of those holes that we popped open is where the negative goes. Same thing with the positive lead, and that resistor there plugs into the front. The capacitor's there. At this point, the power mod is done. You're good to go, and you can move on to the video mod, which is going to be over here. Okay, so now that we have the power mod done, the next step is going to be to remove this. I believe these are called 450 chips, if I'm not mistaken. And what goes in the place of these guys, if you are lucky enough to have this version of the 4-port, which I happen to, this will just pop off. There are versions that they are soldered in. I've seen guys literally do with this guy, which is also known as Brian's board, now taken care of or created by the Brewing Academy. So shout out goes to them. I have seen guys literally just lay it right on top of the chip, just tack solder. This guy, let me show you, does come with the socket for it, and these little babies going right in its place. This one happens to be pre-configured for the Atari 5200 with the jumpers already in place. See if we can get a little bit clearer there. It's also designed to work not only with composite, but it's also designed to work with S-video. This is why you have the Luma, the Chroma, and all that other good stuff. This is a ground, and from Brewing Academy told me it doesn't matter which ground you use. Here goes your input. So this is what's coming in from the board. And then these right here are, again, the different frequencies that you can use if you're going to do the S-video. Now that's a better look at it. The S-video, if you're doing just plain old video. There's the Chroma, Luma, and these again are grounds. This is where this is the input side of the board. Take a look at the bottom of it, very nice. Very clean install with just a small little flathead to put your wires. It's going to go in this spot here, and what we're going to do is we're going to create the holes here for the ports. One downside to this chip, and I shouldn't say it's the chip's fault, it's more the design's fault. There is no audio from here. Audio is actually found right there at the R50 resistor on that side. You can tap into the audio here. You can tap into a ground at R14 on this side if you choose, or use the board's ground for the audio that's going to go over here. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you could put it over here, but I mean, it's kind of cramped. This is a more logical place. Plus, if you totally screw it up, you can probably get a replacement part here as this comes off. Okay, so we've just completed all the soldering. Over here, this is the R50 resistor. Now, in line with that, we just use one of the little resistors, or diode, I don't know why I keep calling it a resistor, that was in the kit. This is really just to cut down on noise interference. So here you can see the red line here. What we did was we used some telco wire. Telco wire is good stuff. It's solid wire. It doesn't, you can bend it, you can twist it. It's pretty good stuff. Very good to solder as well. This right here at the R17 right back here, resistor, is where you go ahead and you solder in the in part of the chip. Again, this is known by a lot as Brian's board, made by the Brewing Academy, which makes these boards now. You have the ground, which we used ground on this side here. And this ground also goes in through the telco, and the color right here is going to be the yellow wire, which goes right over to the 3 jacks. Sorry, I only had red, black and red. As a rule of thumb, usually there is a video red for option when you have composite. This is component for composite, so it's okay to use red for yellow. Red is always, always, always the right speaker. Always. Which pretty much always puts the white, in this case we use black, in the middle, because this is the left speaker. Even though this system only uses mono, this is why you see the one video wire going here. The ground is good for all 3. It runs right across all 3 grounds, and the audio runs across the 2 sides. You're not going to get stereo sound, but what you will get is sound coming out of both outputs. This is pretty much it. Only thing left is to tuck the wire in a nice position here, put the shield right back on, put it back together. Now, you don't have to put it back together. You can test it just like this by plugging in your power supply, pop in a cartridge, and test it. But that's what we're gonna do. That would be the next next thing is the moment of truth. Okay, guys, I am pretty confident actually with the 5200 with the power output. We're not going to anything other than straight 1080 and see what happens. Here it goes, moment of truth. And it is working. This is the classic PacMan in 1080, either P or I. I'm not exactly sure what the upscaler says, but let's give it a go. Look at that. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. The sound is great. I'm just letting it kind of run on its own here. Just toggling the joystick just a little bit just to get a little bit of motion here. Unbelievable. This is fantastic. More than I could have asked for. Okay, just for the hell of it, here's another one, Defender. Looks good so far. Let's go ahead and just go straight to it. I'm just kind of one-handed it, so It's a little bit more difficult one-handing it on the 5200. Everybody knows the controllers on here really just suck ass. But as you can see, it's clear, looks good. This is fantastic. Okay, so we're gonna do two more. This one, both of these are actually gonna be arcade, so here it is, Miss PacMan. So we go ahead and just gonna kind of let it play on its own here. If you're anywhere from the ages of 42 to 55, that theme song is just absolutely orgasmic. There is no other way to describe it. Nothing was better than Miss PacMan just sitting there in a skating rink, bowling alley, arcade, game center, wherever the hell you were at. Hell, even regular bars right next to the cigarette dispenser. Man, those were great times. Putting your drink and your slice of pizza on top of this bad boy. There was nothing better. Oh, so long to Miss PacMan. Now this final one I'm not going to say is the holy grail of Atari 5200 cartridges. That would most likely be Megamania. At least from my experience, it's the only one that's, you know, selling for north of $50 opened and used. I'm sure there might be one or two more, but that's the only one I'm aware of currently. Maybe Wizard of War being the other one. So this one at least gives us a chance to compare to it's the Atari's replacement, the Nintendo Entertainment System. A game made by Nintendo for the Atari platform. Mario Brothers. As you can see, Mario Brothers, you would never think this is Atari. There's just no way. There's just no way. We were all used to Atari being very, you know, extremely, not just pixelated, but blocky and choppy and everything else. And granted, the Nintendo Entertainment System version is cleaner, crisper, better. There's no question about it. But when you look at this, man, this is definitely not a slouch whatsoever. Even compared to its 2600 cousin, I mean, this is night and day. So let's all bid Mario adieu and wrap it up. Well, as you can see, it was a success. There's your components. There's your power. Oh, and the switch box. This piece of shit again. This wonderful thing that Atari thought was a brilliant idea to use as the power to bypass the RF TV switch, which of course was your prongs, your coax. This is where the power was. This is where the RF would plug in from the 5200, and this would go to the TV. And that's where the AC adapter. This thing, throw that piece of shit away. Don't even worry about it anymore. Send it to Valhalla. Or, like I'm going to do, get yourself 20, 30, 40 bucks on eBay. You could get more games. Excuse me for that. You can get yourself some more games for that. You can get something else, whatever the hell you want to get for that thing. Or some of you might just want to keep it, hang on to it just in case. For whatever reason, God knows what. Once you do this mod, you really can't go back too much. So, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little something. Leave comments as always. Let me know what you think. And then we'll be moving on to the next one. So, to all you guys, stay safe out there. Peace out. We'll get through this bullshit. And, you know, who knows? Keep gaming.